Coming up, Apple's big price hikes hit hard, what iOS will look like on the folding iPhone, changes in iOS 27 Beta 2, what to do if you're stuck on the Siri AI waitlist, and all about how you can podcast and live stream from a Mac. Welcome to the Cult of Mac podcast. I'm your host, D. Griffin Jones. Joining me today is not Lewis Wallace, he's in Italy. Leander Canny unexpectedly decided not to do the show. Is this a solo podcast? No. I am joined by the excellent Mikah Sargent. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am thrilled to be here.
I am very thrilled that you're here as well.
Otherwise, it would just be you. That wouldn't be any good.
Nope.
Well, I mean, it could be. I don't know. Now I kind of want to see what that show would look like. Bye. I have to go. No, I'm kidding.
So, how are you doing broadly?
I'm doing well. Yeah. It's been a while since I have done a podcast that was not my own. Mm-hmm. And so when I got the email, I thought, yes, this is great. This is good. We should step out and chat with some other folks. So, yeah, it's, I'm honored to be here with you today.
Let's jump right into it. This is whenever I prepare the show notes, I always start them on like Tuesday, and always send myself into a panic because I'm like, oh my God, there's no news to talk about. I'm always thankful for like a Thursday morning breaking news piece. That's what we got this week. The thing we've all been dreading, the price hikes on all of these Apple products just hit us. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, so it has happened. We, of course, got a little warning ahead of time. It was interesting to see Tim Cook sort of put out the news that Apple would be raising its prices, especially given the CEO transition. It felt like, hey, Tim, could you maybe handle this? He said, good morning. We're hiking prices. And so we've been prepared for that, right?
It was not a good morning.
It was not. It was a bad morning. And that was this morning. Apple says that prices have been raised, and frankly, most devices that are raised have gone up $50 to $100, sometimes even more. Mm-hmm. Happy to see that iPhone prices, Apple Watch prices, and AirPods prices remain unchanged. I don't think I'm surprised about that, right? Those are the hits. Those are the ones that people can kind of quickly buy. But Macs, iPads, even the HomePod, the Apple TV, what? Oof, all going up in price. And I think what became quickly kind of like a darling among those of us who cover Apple, the MacBook Neo, is $699 instead of $599. Did that surprise you that went up?
No, because that's such a low margin device, I assume. Yeah. It had much less wiggle room to play with. But then again, all of the devices that you would assume do have that wiggle room also went up significantly in price. So
frankly, it was a little depressing. I perhaps have been a little bit in denial about the impact that generative AI is having on tech. And, I like to buy and try new tech from time to time. Mm-hmm. And so, I've got like a 3D printer behind me, and I like to tinker. And I thought, it's going to be fine. The stuff that I am interested in, it'll be fine. And then I saw, it was the Valve, the
Steam machine.
Yeah, the Steam machine. The price got released for that, and I thought, ugh, my heart.
They said the original price was supposed to be $750, which is already a little high. I mean, they said that they weren't going to amortize the price, right? Or subsidize the price of the hardware. So they're selling it at cost. And so it is a little higher than, Xbox, PlayStation. But then they said, the new price adjusted for the shortages over $1,000.
Yeah. And that made me sad. And so I don't know. I had to face the reality of the situation, I think, this morning. And that's where it finally clicked. And it made me think about, that especially with the Neo being the price that it was this device where I said, okay, if someone in my family ended up needing a machine and I wanted to help out, buy this, send it to them, they're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't gone up a whole lot in comparison, but still, it starts to creep towards $1,000, and you're like, oof.
The price went up, but honestly, it was such a good price before that I think the MacBook Neo is still very reasonable
Still
at
very well
$699.
priced.
Honestly, like that's the price that I thought it was going to be before they announced it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a good point. Yeah, we were kind of caught off guard by the price that originally was there. And there's also, of course, we saw leading up to this shortages in the number of devices that were available, the different configurations that were available. Um, I I'm currently dealing with trying to reasonably upgrade my network attached storage.
Mm,
And the storage costs and the surrounding factors are all not great right now either. And so
yeah.
it just feels like all of the ways that people can either upgrade their devices or now purchase devices are
Mhm.
all, it's all starting to fall in on us. And yeah, that's no fun.
The timing of this with Amazon Prime Day week is interesting. Like if I mean you have like today and tomorrow, you can see what the new prices are if you're interested in a new computer. The prices on Amazon are still unchanged. So all of the deals that people have been posting. I mean, if you need a computer, not now, but like within the next 2 or 3 years, um, I hope you have $2,000 to buy on a MacBook Pro.
Yeah, seriously. Because looking at the rest of the prices, the MacBook Air lineup, prices rising from $1099 to $1299. MacBook Pro really hit hard. The base M5 is $1999. That's a $400 increase. The 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M5 Pro chip starts at $24.99. That's the 16-inch model, $29.99. You got 3K? I hope you do. And then up from there. I mean,
Mhm.
look, there was some expectation that it was going to kind of hurt, but I think what's hard for me is if you've made the purchase up to this point and then suddenly it costs this much more, it's hard to, at least for me, want to buy something now because I know it didn't use the cost as much. And I'm going,
Mhm.
well, maybe I can hold out until things get back to normal. I mean, I'm also curious. I know we'll talk about hardware a little bit later in the show, but if someone comes to you right now, Griffin, and says,
Mhm.
I am thinking about getting a new machine, are you telling them they should wait, or are you telling them, well, go ahead, but it's going to hurt?
I'd be curious to see how the used market plays out if those prices go
Mm.
up as well. If you weren't interested in buying a brand new Mac anyways, if you don't need like, the M5 are the M2, M3 prices going to go up because those are still excellent computers. I mean, I have an M2 Pro Mac Mini and it's still serving me well. Like I don't think I'll have to replace it before 2030.
Remember how during the pandemic, the deepest throes of the pandemic, anyway,
Mhm.
the used car market just like sailed. Everything
Mhm.
that was, you could sell a junker and make a bunch of money off of it. You talking about sort of the used space? Yeah, that is an interesting thing. What if I have an M5 Mac and I've got one from earlier on that I've just kept, and I could get away with using that earlier one and make a bunch of money. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if eBay is full of
Mhm.
very expensive devices right now, that just come in a little bit under perhaps the cost that you're seeing there. Because yeah, I could, if I didn't, as you said, if you don't need the most recent one and you bought it for that cheaper price and you could sell it for just under what Apple's charging for the same thing, yeah, you could end up making some money.
Mhm.
Um, we didn't talk specifically about the kind of other aspects because the computer's right, easy to see that we've got the RAM upgrades costing a lot of money, the storage costing a lot of money, and just these devices in general. But HomePod Mini, full size HomePod, $30 and $50 more respectively. Apple TV
Mhm.
4K, $50 more expensive than before. It's already pricey, and it's the one that I still recommend to everyone as a set-top box because everyone that I know is in the Apple ecosystem. But I already am in this space of like, Yeah, I really think you should get the Apple TV, but I don't want you to think I'm a bougie uh, jerk for recommending this. Now they go and they look and they see it's $50 more than it was, and they're like, "Who do you think I am? I don't have a champagne fountain in my house."
This feels like preemptive. Like they don't really want to sell a 3-4 year old Apple TV for $250, but this is like they want to put the new price in now so that when they roll out a new one in the fall, it's not like, and this one, which is the same as before except with Apple Intelligence, is $50 more. They don't want that to be the story.
Yeah, that's true. They're going ahead and putting the water into the pot for all of us frogs and starting it boiling now instead of later, so it's not as much of a shock, right? And now the iPad Pro has gone up, and last but not least, can you believe it? Even the Vision Pro has gone up in price. So good luck getting that. I don't know, scrape together the coins under your mattress, because it's, what is it, $36.99 before $34.99.
I mean, relatively speaking, compared to the overall price of the product, that's not a dramatic increase. Like adding $200 to $4,000 for the 1 terabyte model, like
it's funny money.
Yeah.
At that point. Do you have a Vision Pro?
I do have a Vision Pro.
Which one?
The M2.
And
I tried out the M5, and honestly, like they said it had like the slightly better visual fidelity. I couldn't really tell the difference. I mean, I wear glasses anyways, so I probably just couldn't even see it. But I did notice, like, if you have more than like 4 or 5 apps open at once, the M5 one is so much smoother. Like Safari windows don't just like go gray in the background or force reload as much, especially with widgets. Like widgets are so much better on the M5 one.
Nice.
Like the performance I noticed a lot better, but I was like, but is it $4,000 better when I already have the M2 one? Absolutely not.
I know with Clockwise, the format of the show is very structured. And so I'm always very careful about asking these secondary questions, but it's really nice to just get to go, oh, and you're talking about this thing and I'm curious about it. With the Vision Pro, I'm sure that you've talked about this on the show before, but just as an aside, is this something you use regularly? Is it more of a beautiful visual piece that sits in your room?
I do use it regularly. Office? I watch. I mean, the thing about it is like, oh, it's the best way to watch TV movies, but you can't share it with anybody else. Well, for watching the shows that only I care about and nobody else in the house is interested in, like, yeah, I'm going to watch For All Mankind and 1970s Doctor Who and this. Absolutely not what it was designed for, but you know what? It's really great for that. I watch shows in it. I honestly do like a lot of writing work in there. It's so much better, like not being distracted by, everything in the world on my Mac. Because my philosophy of using my Mac is I just want to fill the screen with as many windows as possible, and that comes to bite me when I'm distracted and I can't get anything done. So,
oh my goodness, I'm the same way. Yeah. If you give me the real estate to spread out, I will. I'm like a goldfish in a larger, or is it a shark in a bigger pond?
Yeah.
I will grow to fill the space.
But honestly, like window management is so bad in Vision OS that like it's like I actively don't want to see more than 3 things at once, and so I just have Safari, secondary Safari window, and then Slack, and that's it. And I get a lot of writing done that way.
I wonder if that's why I actually like my MacBook Air, is because it forces me, it's one screen and it forces me to be more choosy about it versus here where I've got all these windows open right now. Anything else that we want to say about these prices? I mean, we knew they were coming. We knew they were going to be pretty brutal. We knew that it was a reflection of the cost of generative AI's purchase of so much hardware. I'm sure that the company is moving to do what it can to try to improve these prices, and it'll be interesting to see how they deal with it going forward. Is it next year that's supposed to be the year of a bunch of new hardware?
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of the things that they have been working on, they've been sitting on for a while, and they could have released this year, but I think they're pushing it back. Like the glasses, the smart home display hub thing that we don't even really know what it is. I think that's supposed to be next year as well. Honestly, like we touched on this in the beginning, iPhone, Apple Watch, and AirPods are untouched. I wonder if the high prices on all of the other products are sort of subsidizing those. So they don't have to touch that. That's what I'm wondering.
That's you see, because I was thinking there's already got to be some strategy to having those not get a price hike, right? Even that on its own. And when you look at them, you go, okay, yes, you want everybody to be able to walk in and buy a pair of AirPods and not have to think too much about it, get more people with AirPods, etc. But if it means that the people who already don't care too much if it's a $3,600 configuration or a $4,200 configuration can subsidize the cost for those. Interesting. Universal basic income. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, like, if you think of AirPods yeah, there are computers, but they don't have that much storage and RAM. So that can probably be, I don't know how much, like, I'm really curious how much the component price goes up on AirPods. But, like, I mean, iPhone, as much as Apple likes to pretend not to, they do have RAM. They are computers.
Yeah. The iPhone totally has to be getting subsidized in some way, or the balance sheet is definitely they've crunched extra numbers to make that not have to change. I mean, because already we've seen commentary, I guess, on the cost of the iPhone and how often you look towards these different deals that you can do and the payment plans, and it gets people looking away from the fact that these are more than $1,000 to purchase, and in some cases it goes even more. And so an already expensive device becoming more expensive when this is supposed to be the device that's a billion phones in people's pockets, y'all, is I think it needs to still be accessible. So I'm not surprised, but I like what you've said because it is true. It does feel like Apple tries to go, you don't need to worry about RAM. RAM what? RAM who?
The entry-level Pro iPhone has been $999 since 2017, which I hate to remind you is 9 years ago. So like
that math I don't like.
I mean, for the inflation, like it hasn't just held value, it's significantly gone down in value. And they can't do that forever. So yeah. I think the next question is, like, when the new iPhones come out in September, do they have higher prices or not? I'm guessing they will, but probably not that much, like maybe $100. They're going to try and keep that as low as they can, I think.
Okay, that's interesting, because when I saw this, I was expecting that they would try to keep the prices the same. But your prediction is that they will raise the prices, but not by perhaps as much as we've seen with the MacBooks, MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I guess, again, there I go being hopeful.
I mean, then again, like, they could just wait another month before they touch those products.
That's true. Huh.
It's their company. They're allowed to do these things whenever they want.
Unfortunately, no. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we knew it was coming, and it's unfortunate, and good luck.
Yep.
Frankly. Let's
talk about the folding iPhone. So this is an interesting little tidbit in macOS Golden Gate. The iPhone mirroring window, you can now freely resize. Like, they're trying to prime developers for, hey, you should make sure your apps work. If they can just be like much bigger, like iPad size for reasons.
For
Don't
whatever
think about
reason.
it too much, but just in case, you should make sure this works. And so I am a fool who installed both iOS 27 and macOS Golden Gate on day one, naturally, as one does. The machine that I'm podcasting from right now.
Okay. Well, you're a little bit more risky than I am. Okay.
So what I've done is I just went through a bunch of Apple's apps, took a bunch of screenshots to see what does it look like on folding iPhone size. So, all of Apple's built-in apps, so we can get a sense of what this looks like. Because we've seen images, we feel like we know the design. We have like the 3D printed mock-ups, and so what I did is I got my little 3D printed mock-up folding iPhone. I sort of held it against my computer screen, and then I just jagged the window until it was that size, and so now we can see. Well, this is what the folding iPhone will look like, assuming the dimensions of the screen and everything are accurate. So we can get an idea. So I've got a little visual tour here. There's, apps like Notes or Mail that sort of have this column of things on the left that you choose from, and then you can see the content on the right, like this sort of split layout. They preserve that 2-column layout, just like an iPad Mini. So you can scroll through all your notes on the left, see the contents on the right, and these these apps work really well. They translate super easily to the folding iPhone. The sort of leftmost column for all like your mailboxes or your folders of notes, that sort of slides in temporarily from the side. And, exactly like an iPad, right? Like only the largest iPads have that permanent 3-column layout. I think we can expect the folding iPhone to be the same.
I want to hear your thoughts on the obviousness of this. I think one thing that I'm kind of bad at is history. And so I don't want to make any assertions about whether there's been something as obvious as this before. This just feels very obvious, and we're all kind of doing the wink, wink, nudge, nudge of yes, this is for developers to get ready to prepare for an iPhone that folds. Can you remember any other times where Apple has been this direct while still being indirect? Or
there have been a number of times. Actually, I wrote a blog post about this on my personal website, going through a number of these examples. Like the other one is right before the iPhone 5. That was the first time that the screen size changed at all, and so they had like a big push at WWDC for, you should make sure your apps work not just at like this fixed size class, but so they can stretch and up and down. That was a big notable case of that. A number of changes around iOS 11 where in retrospect, you can see were for the iPhone 10, like how Control Center had a completely new design. That was, the first time that Control Center appeared from the top right corner instead of sliding up as a single panel from the bottom. And that's when Control Center was significantly redesigned. In iOS 7, the camera app got significantly redesigned with like the camera app design that we still kind of have today, where you have like a big long scrolling list of modes. And that's because the iPhone 5S had like a bunch of extra camera features that the iPhone 5 didn't have before. So they, had to have more modes like panorama and slow-mo, not just like the single toggle switch for photo and video that was in iOS 6 and before. This has happened a number of times before.
Okay, that makes sense.
This is a pretty blatant one though.
Now you told me that, or you told me, I was reading rather. So in a way you told me that that Control Center is a little wonky. Of course, this is still beta. This is still, but I was kind of curious. Yeah, we want to think about the screens that you're going to see all the time. And I think in that way, I'm not surprised to hear that the home screen, for example, hasn't been quite figured out yet. I imagine that's got to be difficult to try to solve for.
Yeah. I was really curious what the home screen is like. And in iPhone mirroring, you can resize a bunch of Apple's built-in apps. But if you go to the home screen, and you try and stretch it, it gets bigger and smaller, but it doesn't actually change aspect ratio. I'm really curious to see how it'll work, because my question is well, how does a home screen translate between going from
exactly
4 icons wide, 5 icons tall to a completely horizontal? If you think about an iPad, when you rotate it from portrait to landscape, the aspect ratio of the screen is still the same because it's the same physical screen. We haven't had a screen that can change shape this wildly before. So I'd like to see that. Control Center also, I'll show you that, on the home screen, it looks like the normal home screen, but if you go inside an app and change the aspect ratio and then summon Control Center, it doesn't adapt either. So although your screen is horizontal, you just have a thin little column of controls that run off the bottom of the screen.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. And we've got to think, well, actually, I don't know. I don't know how this would be solved. I was going to say, surely in the final version, everything would sort of spread out. But why? I don't think that it necessarily needs to. Or maybe it'll be a sort of a dual system where whenever you've got the larger Control Center, you could do widgets on that right side or something, as opposed to it just being buttons. I like now that we can summon Control Center in iPhone mirroring. That's nice. I remember when we first got it, I kept going swipe, 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 swipe. I'm going, why is it not access? Oh, I guess this doesn't work. So that was nice to see. This is a hard thing to solve for. I do not envy developers right now, because not only are they looking at how to resize their apps appropriately. Of course, people would argue that they've had time for a long time now because of iPad and iPhone and sort of trying to find the differences there. But speak to Instagram and they'll tell you how hard it is to make an Instagram app, or I mean an iPad app. But the larger point is that developers are having to focus on screen sizes against multiple screen sizes. And I saw one designer developer, it's like a singer-songwriter, who was complaining about the fact that the new slider for liquid glass makes it so that a designer needs to have awareness of so many more permutations now of how their design will appear based on where that slider is placed. And it's not a notched slider, right? It's kind of like how translucent do you want it? So it's in some ways a difficult time to be a developer right now. And well, I mean, for multiple reasons, but part of that is these two big changes happening at once. But still very exciting to see this come to Apple's side of things. And it makes me wonder for you, Griffin, of course, you will want to test an iPhone that folds, but is it of interest to you as a personal device as well?
Oh yeah, I'm very excited for it. As someone who doesn't own an iPad, I'm like, well, I'll never need to buy one if I just have an iPhone that can become an iPad. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to spending $2,000, potentially $2,500, maybe even $3,000 on it, but I'm looking forward to it generally. It's also weird because the aspect ratio of the outer screen is going to be just so different to what we've had for the last 10 years. Like the iPhone 10 switched to like a much more extreme vertical, like 2:1 aspect ratio, but this is like back to 4:3, like the original iPhone, the iPhone 4. And iOS hasn't been shaped like that in a long time. Like you notice it in apps like music. The screen is so much shorter that, in the music app, for example, when you're looking at an artist page and you sort of size it to what you think the outermost screen is going to be, the music app is supposed to have like, big artwork on top and then a list of things below. And it's like completely cut off at the bottom of the screen. It's so bizarre.
It almost, it's not holding to the design language, right, that was originally there, because it's having to just sort of do lowest common denominator.
And then you try and like unfold it and you notice that like the tab bar at the bottom is very bizarre. It's sort of like the, normal minimizing tab bar, so that like the now playing thing at the widget at the bottom like takes over the navigation at the bottom. But it, it's an iPhone that's not supposed to be this wide. And so it like stretches out in a rather unusual way. Both the podcast and the music app kind of work like this. Again, I have screenshots in that article if you're just listening.
Yeah, you've got to go. Everyone needs to go check out the article because that helped me conceptualize things better than ever. So I really appreciate that you've done that because that was very, very well done as a way to see it. It's occurring to me now. When Liquid Glass shipped, they talked so much about freeing the content from the UI and making it so that you could see the content at all times. And now it's starting to feel a little bit like, they have that psychology of like mall design where apparently the carpets are supposed to be a certain way and the music is supposed to be a certain way to get you to go into stores instead of spending time. It's feeling the same way to me. Like they tried to pull a trick on me. They're saying, we made Liquid Glass to separate the content from the UI. But really, when I just saw that screen there where it was showing the bar at the bottom and the back button and everything, let's be real. If we do not anchor our UI to the content, then when we resize our screen, the content can resize and the UI can stay where it is. So now I'm going, was this really all about just getting us ready for an iPhone Fold and you're trying to sell it as something else?
Yeah, potentially. And there were rumors that like they had, pushed up the Liquid Glass design like a year in advance or something in order to ship it in 2025 instead of 2026. So it's possible that that's what it was all about. Like the engineering was rushed because it wasn't supposed to go this year. It's supposed to be for next year, as part of a more, dynamic software user interface designed to match this new kind of phone. the short stubby outer screen, I mean, it's also kind of weird in the calendar app, because if you have like a month that spreads across like 6 weeks in the sort of like split view, then you don't have like a lot of space to have your list of events below it. It's really strange.
Oh, I see what you mean.
If it's so tall, then you can only list like 3 or 4 things below if the month is really big. Unfolded, though, I mean, it's the first time the week view has been useful on an iPhone. You can actually see like an entire week.
Yeah, that is cool. That is really cool.
That's nice. Safari, you can view a whole desktop version of a website all at once. That's really nice. So
with iPhone mirroring, I know when I first had that announced, it was one of the things that sort of prompted a physical reaction from me. I had like a woo moment and excitement and everything. I actually may have been there for it. I don't think I was regardless. When that was announced, very excited about it. I have found that I don't use it as much as I thought I was going to. I was curious, do you use iPhone mirroring regularly, or what was your kind of initial take on it, and how has it been since then?
I actually use it quite a bit because anytime I'm in front of my Mac using my Mac, I don't want to pick up my phone at all. I know like a lot of people, they get a text and they just naturally reach for their phone and pick it up and text from their phone instead. But it's like, no, I want it on the screen in front of me. My hands are already on the keyboard. My hand is already over the trackpad. I just want to touch my computer. So like I really like iPhone mirroring for that. Using apps that are only on the phone and not on the Mac. Like when I'm balancing my bills and I want to go through like the everything I've spent on my Apple Card, there's no way to do that on a Mac other than iPhone mirroring. So if I want to like put a bunch of numbers side by side on the same screen, like I have to use it for that. Or, just any app that's only on the phone and not on the Mac. I mean, Snapchat is a canonical example, except if you use Snapchat through iPhone mirroring, it says you're screen recording everything, which isn't nice, but
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That reminds me, there's the content systems that keep you from taking screenshots or video of, like a Netflix stream. Those are that tool, that feature, that software, whatever, is also impacted by oh goodness, now I'm forgetting what it's called. One sec here. It's called display. What's it called? Display link. Display link is it also affects that. And so anytime and we'll talk about it when we get to my hardware and stuff, but I end up having to turn off one of my displays in order to watch anything on the screen. It's so annoying. But yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, I used to have a monitor that would give me problems with that all the time. It would throw up errors and I would have to like unplug it in order to watch things on Amazon Prime. That's so annoying. It's bizarre. But now that apparently works over iPhone mirroring, if you haven't heard the good news. So I don't know what the use case for that is. Like if you want, I was thinking maybe because like Netflix doesn't let you download stuff to your Mac. If you want to watch downloaded stuff on a flight, then maybe you can watch it through iPhone mirroring, download it to your phone if you want to see it on your screen. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the best I could come up with. That'd be really janky though. I don't recommend that.
Yeah, it's almost, it doesn't seem necessary.
It's not how Martin Scorsese intended his films to be watched.
Yeah, he would be very upset if you told him that's how you were doing it.
I mean, is that better than watching on a phone? Probably. I don't know.
Good question. I mean, because the audio, it shifts, and there have been times where I was listening to an audio book, and I'll just go ahead and pull it up on the screen so that I can easily access the controls. But yeah, I think I thought I would be using it a lot more, but most of the stuff that I access is already available on the Mac. And so I think that's what it ends up being, is I just don't need to turn to my phone too often. Although I do like doing Instacart orders that way. It's nice to have that bigger area to kind of work with.
Is that what you use iPhone mirroring for?
Yeah, just Instacart grocery orders, pretty much. Other than that, everything else I do, it's like Mac first and then move to iPhone after that. I don't like to do. I don't really like to browse on the iPhone either. I
Mm-hmm.
want a big browser. I want a lot of room. I want a lot of space. So
Mm-hmm.
I find myself just going, I'll just walk to my Mac. I'll look at it there.
Are you looking
As
forward to a
opposed
folding iPhone then? Do you feel like that would solve that
I
problem
think
for you?
so. Yeah, because I've got, look, you said that you're not really an iPad person. I have multiple iPads that I don't use.
Mm-hmm.
And the closest I came was an iPad mini. I
Mm-hmm.
really like the iPad mini, but again, I don't use it. So I do think that the folding option could be something that makes a difference. Because I mean, I've got really large hands, and so the sort of different real estate isn't a problem for me. I always go for the plus or the max or whatever the larger size is, and I like having more screen real estate. But up to this point, it has felt like a folding phone wouldn't give me much when it came to unfolding. Now
Mm-hmm.
I can see where that could be helpful and where it would be something that I'm interested in, particularly as someone who's like trying to, it's almost like if the iPad mini was a phone, I could come close to using it that way. It's a little too big to fit into a pocket
Mm-hmm.
though. So yeah, that would be nice. The folding would be good.
You see, I'm a small phone person. I have like, I don't know, I guess probably just average sized hands, but it intrigues me that it'll be both the smallest and the biggest phone.
It's both. It gets to be both. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's
Mm-hmm.
that makes me, because my partner very much a small phone person, and he held on to his mini for ages and ages and ages and ages, trying to not have to update, and he did finally have to update, and he's fine with it, but would prefer for sure to rock the smaller phone. So now I'm kind of curious if a foldable phone would be something that he was interested in, because he's also the opposite too. Those government websites, for example, you've got to go and you've got to, schedule an appointment for the DMV or something.
Mm-hmm.
You will never catch me trying to do that stuff on a little phone. I'm going to the computer where God intended me to be for doing government website stuff, or again, frankly, any website stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he will, I mean, he could probably write a novel on his phone, and it's kind of impressive to me, this tiny little phone, and so much you get done. I'm like, you don't want to go to the computer with the big screens for doing that? No, I got it right here. Okay. So I don't know, I don't even know if that would be something that would be more helpful, because I don't think that he thinks about it that way. But for me, absolutely, I'm going, I can make this bigger and I don't have to get up. So it's probably going to make me more lazy, but that's fine.
I'm also really curious what the keyboard's going to be like on it.
Yes. What are they going to do? Is it going to be like the split, like we've seen with the iPad,
Yeah.
where you've got the left and the right side?
Not that I'm an iPad user, but I've heard that the iPad support for the split keyboard is very bizarre. Some of them have it, and some of them just weirdly don't.
Yeah. You don't know. You don't know if it's going to work, and you don't. Yeah. And then it makes you not want to use it that way. Because I feel that it does. I'm a touch typer. And so I've learned, home row and all that jazz. And I have tried using the split keyboard, keeping that in mind, and it just doesn't click. So I would have to invest more time to get good at it, and it's not worth it if not all of the apps are going to support it, right?
Are you an iPhone touch typer? Can you text on an iPhone without looking at the screen?
No, heavens no. Oh no. That'd be cool. But yeah, no. I when it comes to thumbs, I definitely have to look. But maybe that's another reason I like to be in front of my Mac. Now that I think about it, is that I can just focus on what's happening on the screen and not worry about where my fingers are. I never considered that aspect of it, because that's another thing too, is I will, if I'm on my phone, dictate messages so I don't have to type them out. But on my Mac, I'm like, pop, pop. So wow. I think we've just discovered something today. This has just really been about me not being as quick a typer.
We are all over the map, and we're only on the second story.
I know, right? Look, should we move on?
Okay, sure.
Then let us move along here to talk about the second beta of iOS 27. Yes, that's right. We have already been blessed by the second beta, and wonderful. that Cult of Mac has put together a guide of all of the features and changes. There, instead of calling it writing tools, it's now called Write with Siri. And this is going to appear as a suggestion, which I've seen this pop up a few times now. You tap on an empty text field in Notes, in Mail, and you may see this little suggestion that says Write with Siri. It's kind of funny because you write with Siri using Siri, which is at the top of the screen. So you're sort of at the bottom and you tap on this and whoop, a text input field slides down from the even more dynamic island these days. It's far more dynamic. And then you kind of say, hey, I want to write a thing about this. Also, if you do tap on a text field that has text in it, then you will see a little Siri logo kind of icon that you can tap on to do more. I'll be honest, not a big fan of, I spent a lot of years as a copy editor. And so I don't trust these computers, but no, more importantly, I don't really like the way that they write usually. Yeah. And so I don't make a lot of use of these tools.
Not that I was in love with the writing tools before, but I don't think I like the new interface. Like it kind of made sense being like a slide up panel of tools rather than like you tap the Write with Siri button and then you just see like a text box. Like the whole, tap this button to transform something into a list or a table. It was much more visual. I don't know if people would like come up with those ideas on their own. I mean, I'm sure Apple has the metrics for how much they were being used. Maybe literally nobody ever touched them, but
I wondered that too, right? I don't know what's popular there, what makes them change it to Write with Siri. Sometimes I want to know the psychology behind it as well. If it's psychology, I mean, there could be some metrics perhaps, but all of these choices that they're making, because you're right. I think sometimes it's helpful to have some level of example or option that can make it more helpful. And then it's not about just, write a paragraph for me. But as you said, what if we turn this into a list? Or if you're in Pages and I want a chart or what have you, those are actually helpful. But if they're not surfaced, then I think it's a little difficult. I also think that we're seeing a lot of push toward getting into that Siri view in whatever way is possible right now. Just last night, because look, I've talked about this a lot. I don't like to use Siri, and it's been that way for years for a lot of stuff because in the past it just didn't work. And so for the longest time, I'm like, I'm not even going to try it. It's just going to upset me, or it's going to disappoint me. I mean, but I've been with new Siri really trying it out, and in places where normally I would just do it myself, I'm like, I'm going to see if Siri can do this. It's been very impressive. Doing things that I thought there's no way it's going to be able to do this at the end. But last night I wanted to get some text from a screen. And so at first I just held down the button because it's like, oh, you're supposed to be able to see what's on my screen. And I was like, can you tell me what the Pacific time is for this? And I quite literally just said that. And it didn't do anything. So I was like, okay, that's a bug. That's probably just a bug. But then I kind of cropped it down so that it was just the paragraph that had the time in it. And I, at the bottom, hit the ask button. And when I did, like 15 different animations, it seems, played on screen as parts of the UI slid away and Siri slid down from the top and it popped the little image in there. And then it had a little, cursor blinking, waiting for me to type something in. But the problem is the keyboard wasn't showing up. So then I was like, am I supposed to dictate it? I don't know. I double tapped to get it to show me like maybe paste or speak or something. And instead it just said ask. And so I tapped that and it did it all over again, popped open the Siri field. Obviously these are bugs, but popped open the Siri field. And then there was no longer my screenshot attached with it. And so I ended up having to back out. But what I noticed in that was there is this push now, when we're talking to Siri, it's this view that hovers over everything that comes down from the dynamic island. And they really seem to be kind of pushing people toward that conversation mode. And curious how people are going to react to that. Because I think a lot of normal people who aren't steeped in tech day to day, I'm surprised at how often they use Siri. Like it's quite a bit, anecdotally. And so I wonder what they're going to think with this new version that really makes you go, look at the previous conversations we've had. Look at all the stuff that we've talked about.
Yeah, like being trained not to use Siri, I definitely relate with, because I would only ever use it for the incredibly simple things of, and like the limited syntax of text this person, set a timer for this period of time. And now with the new Siri, I'm trying to do all the advanced stuff, like, what was the recipe that I was sent? What am I supposed to be making for this event tomorrow and stuff like that. But then it's like the middle ground stuff that Siri's supposed to be able to do. That's like, send this podcast to this person, or edit this picture to make it look like this instead. I'm just like, I'm just going to do that myself, obviously. So like, it's remembering to use Siri in that example. I mean, in the story that you told there, I realized, could you have just like selected the text and hit the Ask Siri button directly from there instead of the screenshot?
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, because there's context there too. It's annoying. I use Spark. I've used Spark email across everything. And sometimes, for some reason, when it renders an email, it will make text that has the app is intelligently showing, I can see that this is a date. You might want to tap on this to turn it into a calendar thing. And there are times where there's a bug that it doesn't summon the share sheet whenever you tap on it. But because it's this text that has a special link tied to it, it won't let you highlight and select it.
I see.
So I thought, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take a screenshot. That's how I can get this text. It'll be fine. And it didn't work, unfortunately.
Okay.
So yeah, but that was a good question, because yes, in normal situations, that's all I would need to do. And I imagine that it would do it just fine. Now, in the first version of iOS 27 in beta 1, if you got new Siri and you went in to customize new Siri, it was kind of a mess in that page. There, of course, up to this point have been all these different voices on stage at WWDC, or in the video on stage at WWDC. They showed that new Siri has some options for pace and expressivity. And in the first version, you couldn't really make adjustments to these. I even had trouble changing between the two voices. The point is, even in the release notes, it's talking about this stuff's coming soon. Now they've kind of cleaned that page up. You are able to at least select the two different voices, but pace and expressivity, those sliders are still disabled, but they will be coming soon. So we should see that happen. It was funny because for the longest time I've used I think I use voice 3. And then I switched to this voice, and I was in the car, and it was so strange hearing, turn left here, exit here, and someone else is talking to you suddenly, and you're going, what? Oh, who's in my car? But it was interesting hearing, because I use GPS everywhere. I use navigation everywhere, even when I'm just going back home, because I live in Portland and the traffic here, you want to go a different route if you need to. So I'm used to hearing these regular things to get back to my house in one voice. So hearing it in a different voice and hearing how the expression of it changed was kind of cool. Obviously, they've still got some work to do. It sounds a little modulated right now, but
I'm still on a 16 Pro, so I don't have these advanced new voices. Do they still have like the classic like female Siri voice that they've had since 2011, or is that gone?
It sounds different to me. Let me see if I can get it to play back for us here.
And what would you want to change it to? Like, how would you want to change the pace?
So I don't like, to be perfectly frank, I don't like telling a feminine coded voice what to do. I prefer to tell a masculine coded voice what to do. So I use voice 2, and I think that I will make the pace a little bit faster when I'm able to change that, because I like a fast speaker. Expressivity, Probably I'll play around with it because I think it can be kind of fun to be a little dynamic, but also I don't need you to tell me to turn left. I just want you to tell me to turn left. So,
Fair enough.
But let's see. Here's
Hi, let's find the right voice for you. I'll practice some things I like to say while you listen. Let me try this one out. You have one new message.
and then
You have one new message. Here's another one. Your timer is set for 1 minute. Now for some directions. At the next stop sign, turn right.
At the next stop sign, turn right.
So yeah, I don't think that
How about some
it
facts?
sounds like the Siri voice that we've had.
Yeah,
up
it is
to-
a
I mean,
little
it's
different.
yeah, it's got flavors of that, characteristics of that, but it definitely is different. And then again, those sliders not available yet, but I will be playing with them as soon as they're there to see if I can make like, what is that guy's name? Krusty the Clown, full on clown style
Hey,
voice.
kids, turn left.
Exactly. Let's see what else has come to iOS 27 Beta 2. Oh, an Ask Siri button added to Safari so that when you tap and hold on the address bar or you open that Pages menu, then you can ask questions about the page that you're looking at. So it's a little bit like what's on my screen, but a little bit more focused. And you're definitely saying, hey, I'm talking about this. I wanted to ask you, were you excited about the explain and what was it? Explain an extension or describe an extension?
Describe an extension. Yeah. What I actually created one already.
Ooh.
Well, I pay for, because I'm an absolute fool, like the Apple One Premier bundle. So I have Apple News Plus, which means that I should have like free access to The Verge, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, a few other sites like TechCrunch. And so I would always go to this song and dance, since The Verge paywalls most of their site now, that I would have to, if I open a link to The Verge in an app, I would then have to tap the Safari button at the bottom, open it in Safari, tap the share menu, then tap open in Apple News, which would never show up right away. So I had to scroll through the list of apps. And so I just asked it to make an extension for me that adds an open in Apple News button, like as like a toolbar on the top of the page for all of those sites. And it mostly works.
Nice.
Mostly.
Yeah, mostly works.
But
that's cool.
For the most of the time that it does, it's excellent. I don't know what else I would want to do.
Yeah,
that's the first thing that came to mind.
That's a great option. There have not been, I thought that I would be going, oh, that's going to be something I use all the time. But I think that one of the main ones was going to end up being the other feature that they announced, which was sort of the page monitoring. Mm-hmm. And there was specifically something that happened. I love the musical The Color Purple, and I haven't seen it live since I was in high school. And so I was thinking, oh, Portland is the perfect place for a musical like that. So surely they'll have, anyway. The cool thing is, a lot of times with musicals that are distributed these days, you can like get the rights for them on a site, and then that site will also have upcoming productions for it. This was for the Color Purple musical. And so I wanted to set up something to monitor and see if there was ever going to be something in my area. It ended up being that it came through that Portland was going to have a premiere of it next year before this feature was ever announced, but I definitely would have used it for that, to be notified of that page changing. I've seen some folks who have made use of this tool, and they are hoping that Apple will add kind of a repeating duration option or something, because when it comes to ticket sales especially, that can change on a dime. And so the person had set it up to monitor this page, but the ticket sales opened a couple of minutes early. And so they could have gotten in even sooner if they had known. But yeah, I think that's a really neat feature. That is not new as of beta 2, but it is just new in iOS 27. So
yeah, and how that works is you can't set it up to check a website any more than daily. Your options are like daily, I think weekly and monthly, and you can set the time of date that you want it to check. So I actually posted, because we've been tracking Amazon like Prime Day deals. So I went to a number of websites, nice. like Mac Stories compilation, I think a few others. And I said, oh, check these every day at 9 a.m. and tell me if they update this page with any new deals so that we can copy their hard work. And I didn't receive any notifications. So I guess the jury's still out. Maybe it's completely broken. Maybe it's
I was going to say,
I don't know.
Well, I think it didn't work then, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Other changes in beta 2, RCS conversations, you can now do inline replies. So if you're going, what do you mean? Well, you may remember that if you are in a group chat, or actually, I think it could be a singular chat too, you can swipe and reply directly to that message, sort of in a thread. You're able to do that now with RCS conversations. Also, reacting to an image that you get via RCS will display it properly for the other person. So, Mikah hearted this image or whatever you happen to do, dropped a whatever emoji on there, which is good. I love that we are getting much more parity there. I feel a lot less worried whenever I'm talking to Android folks that, it's going to appear differently for them, or it's not going to work, or something's going to be messed up. It's nice that everybody's more on the level playing field. I haven't seen the, let me check. The last time I looked, because I've got end-to-end encryption enabled, and it said that I should start to see it for my Android conversations, but I don't know. Let me see if I really have to scroll to get to the last person I talked to who has an Android device.
Ask Siri to find the most recent conversation.
That's what I should have done. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, there we go. That says RCS, but it doesn't show a lock. So I guess we're still not. And it could be that the person with whom I am communicating doesn't have that turned on.
I mean, it's very fragmented. Like, everybody in the conversation has to be running an iPhone or an Android device that supports all of these features for it to work. Like, I'm in one RCS, like, kind of relatively big group chat of like 10 people or so, and like, 2 of them are on Android phones, so it's RCS, and it's a little twitchy. Like, sometimes it drops down to just SMS for a little bit.
Really?
For reasons, who knows why.
For reasons.
Yeah.
That's surprising. That it'll kind of switch between, but yes, I am seeing, I've got all the proper things turned on to have that conversation shift, but it has not yet. So who knows? Also love the new feature to create custom passes in the wallet app. I do feel bad for the pass creation apps that have existed for a long time that I've made use of. But now in iOS 27 beta 2, you can select from 4 different background images, and there are like textures that you can add to them as well. I have also played around with the pass making tool that Apple has released. I don't know why, but
I'm curious.
Just to play around with, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, I find passes fascinating. The different metadata that's available there, and the way that you can sort of set up there are a lot of features that one could technically take advantage of when it comes to passes. And I just like to know what all is possible. And then when I am buying concert tickets or, some event here in Portland, I can see what those ticket companies are actually making use of, what they're not making use of, and that's just interesting.
They actually got like a big expansion last year where now like a pass can have like an embedded like map of the venue that you're in, like a stadium, to like tell you where your seats are and how to get there. I haven't used a pass that has had that yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone use that yet.
If you told her, like, does Apple let you add a lot of like metadata, like, show this pass when I go to this location or anything like that?
It does, yeah. Oh. So the app is a little bit bare bones right now. I was kind of surprised. I thought it would have more, but it does let you add a bunch of metadata that essentially doesn't show up to the user directly, but is tied to the app ID, is tied to specific locations, so that if you're within X space, then it will summon that pass on your screen. You can set it up, of course, depending on what type of pass it is. But what's kind of cool is now there are special types of linking that you can do where it can reference a database to see that you have, a special membership or something. And then that can change the way that the pass appears. And so, yeah, there's a lot that's built in. again, I just find fascinating, mostly so I can see how lazy the different ticket services are being, where it's like, well, you could be making use of that. You could do this, but you just
can you make a better one than them? That's funny.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Maybe that's what I should do some I've redesigned your pass for you, just to be annoying. And then last but not least, I think some people will be excited about this. You can update the software on your Apple TV from the Home app, where before you did need to be in front of your Apple TV and head into the updates. This will give you the ability to just pop into the Home app and do so there. A little bit like what you can do with HomePods and other devices that support firmware updates via the Home app, of which there are few and far between, at least in my home. I think I've got 2 that update that way. But it is nice that the software update can happen there so that you don't necessarily have to be in front of the TV. We've got a short throw projector, and so it takes a minute to turn on and all that stuff. So just doing this, from wherever I am is nice. Although I don't have the beta installed on the Apple TV because that would lead to domestic chaos.
Fair enough. And it's at least what even is new in tvOS? There's 3 things. I'm pretty sure it's entirely developed by Chris Espinosa. There's I mean, I'm looking forward to this because when Apple releases the next Apple TV, I plan on buying a second one. I currently only have one in the house, and so if I want to watch anything in my bedroom, I just have to unplug it and carry it upstairs because there's no way I'm spending $250 on an Apple TV now.
That is hilarious. I mean, yeah, that's fair. That's so funny. Just unplug, replug. Do you have an HDMI waiting for it at least?
Oh yeah,
so you don't have to take
it's all ready to go. But
nice.
Let's talk about Siri AI. So also in the latest developer betas that dropped earlier this week, they killed the workaround that a lot of people are taking advantage of. There used to be a hack on the Mac where you could type in this terminal command and sort of enable it, by setting a hidden plist setting and get access to it early on your Mac. It wouldn't sync across all your other devices, but you'd at least have it on the Mac at least. The iPhone is a more magical place to experience it, but it's better than nothing if you're sitting on there. I see people on Reddit are saying that they've been waiting up to a week or more, 10 days.
Wow. It took me a while to get in, for sure. I was afraid of doing this. I was worried that if I did that little cheat, that it was going to result in my wait being longer if they started to block this method of doing so. And then they said, I don't know. I thought, no, I'm not going to attempt it. And I was glad that I didn't, because the day after the little hack came out, then I got my little notification saying, you're in, you can check it out now. But yeah, I thought, I'm going to do this and it's going to work on my Mac, and then they're going to find out I've done it, and then I'm going to be not able to use new Siri for 3 months. So yeah, I just didn't do it.
One of the commenters on our website pointed out that now if you, after updating, he said the new developer beta update cut me off from the new Siri, and you just see joined waitlist, same, retrying the procedure has no effect, but there might be another way in. People on Reddit, so they're claiming at least that this works for them. How truthful it is, who knows? But they say there's another workaround, and that is that if you update to iOS 27, obviously you get on the wait list, you generate images in Image Playground, and then you start sending in feedback about them. You tap the More button and you tap something isn't right. You send in a bunch of feedback on a variety of Apple Intelligence features. They claim that you'll get through the wait list faster. I think the assumption being that, if Apple sees you're a valuable tester who's providing a lot of feedback, then they'll put you on the new Siri.
This, okay. Or it could just be coincidence.
Yeah.
I like this idea. I want to believe that there's a sort of a metric playing out where people who actually are making a difference and aren't just there to test stuff out are prioritized. But I also think that so easily aligns with what any of us who give feedback would want to be the truth, that it almost has an inherent bias of wishful thinking, if you will. Because
the comments are I started generating images in Image Playground, and then I got the notification that I was in. It's Would that have just happened anyway?
It could have just happened
I'm
anyway.
a little skeptical.
Yeah, I agree. I'm skeptical, but you know what? Maybe, Griffin, we should just say, you should do this, because that way there's also feedback being given. And
feedback is always better. Submit bug reports. I mean, this is the prime time to submit bug reports, they say, because the engineers are actually actively developing and fixing bugs at this exact period of time. So right after a new beta drops, submit a bunch of bug reports for things that you find are broken. Maybe you'll somehow rise up in the invisible rankings that Apple may or may not have.
Cannot confirm.
But either way, you'll be helping Apple out.
Absolutely.
I think on John Gruber's The Talk Show Live, Nilay Patel said that he overheard somebody at the Apple event say, presumably this was an engineer, say, "Oh, private cloud compute is on fire right now."
Wow.
It could be that all of the people like me who, updated within the hour and immediately got the Siri later the same day and immediately tried to just asking it things over and over made of just and that's why the waitlist is so long, because they're trying to scale up the infrastructure and test how much people are using it.
I installed the day after and immediately asked to get on the wait list. And then I think it was, that was Monday. So that was Tuesday. I think by Friday of that week, I had been granted access. It may have even been Thursday, but it was either Thursday or Friday that I got access. So it was a couple of days. But again, I had joined right after. I thought even that was you're going to be waiting a month to get in. So I was surprised that I got it when I did. But that's where a lot of the new stuff exists. So if you're going to be testing it, you do really want to get off of the wait list and into it to be able to test the stuff. And as you said, and it sounds like we have similar takes on Siri, where we've just done so much of the stuff ourselves before. And so we got to be able to test this out and see what it can actually do versus what we're told it can do. How it actually plays out.
Developers are also complaining about that Apple doesn't have solid prices in store for how much it'll cost. They don't have any pricing structure for if you're a developer, you can't pay more to use private cloud compute in your app.
Right.
My theory is that Apple just doesn't know how much it's going to cost per user yet. And so they haven't rolled out any prices, and that, eventually they will. They just, don't know how much it's going to cost yet. But, on the downside, the people who are trying it right now are the people who are incredibly enthusiastic about it and are going to be using it more than the average person.
That's a really good point. Yep.
So
it's not necessarily indicative of the way that it'll be used on the whole, but it does give some insight into, the folks who are using it the most and more regularly.
And even for regular users, Apple says, "Oh, and if you pay for iCloud Plus, then you just get more access." But they don't tell you how much it is.
Not defining how much, but just more.
I think that falls into the same bucket. They don't know how much it's going to cost yet.
Yeah. I mean, we keep seeing the satellite stuff get pushed out and pushed out and pushed out in terms of us having to pay for it. So I'm not surprised to see this as well. I imagine that most folks, that's sort of the nature of what it is, the satellite technology. Most folks aren't using it, so it's probably not a lot of overhead for Apple to have that going. But there's obviously a big difference between the smaller subset of beta users versus we're rolling this out to everybody. So we'll have to see how that plays out for sure.
With the satellite, it's also interesting because Apple keeps adding more satellite features such that its usage might be going up. I think if there's a year where they roll out prices, I think this is the year, because Amazon bought Globalstar, the company that was providing those satellite connectivity services for them. And, so it's not just some company launching satellite, it's Amazon. Yeah. I bet they're probably going to okay, this is the price now.
Yeah,
unless it's just going to, and if not, then Apple's probably just going to amortize it and say it's free for iPhone users forever.
Oof. I wonder which way they'll go. Services, of course, is the area where they've got the regular income. And I suppose it could be one of those things that gets a line item as an Apple One your satellite use is completely free. But we'll see, because I think it's a difficult thing to say.
I think if it had a pricing structure, the emergency stuff would always be free. But if you want to
That's what I'm
text,
hoping.
then that might be like a new Apple service somehow.
Yeah, I hope that's the way they go with it, because I think that's reasonable. And I think that keeps me from going, you really want to charge people when they're in an emergency? That's wild.
I've fallen down a cliff face, and my face is broken and my arm is broken, but I need to do Face ID to authenticate this really quick. So I can give Apple $500 to rescue me.
Oh man, can you imagine? Yeah, I don't think those aren't the videos that they want to play at the beginning of an Apple event for sure. I paid them $500, but I got rescued and I'm safe, and it's well worth the $500.
You are an experienced podcaster.
Thank you.
There's nothing more that podcasters love talking about than the art of podcasting.
The sausage, how it gets made?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit? I mean, you do a lot of, we just do this dinky little show once a week. We pre-record it. That's it. You were even struggling to remember the names of all of your podcasts before we went live.
Yeah, I do too. I think I do. I have a lot of shows. I have regular shows that I record every week for my main job, twit.tv. And so each week I have a show called iOS Today, a show called Hands on Apple, a show called Hands on Tech, and a show called Tech News Weekly. Those are the shows that I do as part of Twit, plus some different shows that we just have for our club members. I've got a crafting corner show that I do where I paint or whatever, and then other people join and they talk about the crafts they're working on. It's very chill time. It's sort of like a happy little trees moment. And so we all just get together and craft. And then I just launched a new show for our club. It's Media Club. And that's where we just talked about The Fifth Element. So people watched The Fifth Element and we talked about it. And then I also have a weekly podcast that I host with Dan Morin over on Relay called Clockwise, and occasionally do some Dungeons and Dragons shows online as well. So yeah, I guess I do. I do have a lot of shows, and hardware is interesting. I mentioned earlier my sort of multi-screen setup. I right now running an M1 Max Studio from 2022. Still just doing fine for.
Going to be holding on to that one for a while now, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah. I think the one regret I have about it is that I didn't spend more on storage. I have a terabyte. And, for the most part, that's fine. But I do wish that I had gone up at the time just so that I'd never have storage issues. But
you do podcasting and video work. That's a bottomless pit. I paid for 2 terabytes and I still fight with it every few months.
Yeah, I've had to figure out my archiving system for sure. I have an Apple Studio display and a 27-inch Dell Ultra Sharp. And so these are my 2 main displays. They're both on boom arms. I found this random Amazon product listing for this clamp that attaches to the base of the studio display, because I didn't get the VESA one at the time. I wasn't sure if I was going to VESA mount it, and I just wasn't. Yeah. And so I ended up finding this thing, and it's also aluminum. I'll have to find the link to it, because I thought this is a risk. There aren't a lot of reviews. It works. So that's on one side, the Dell Ultra Sharp's on the other. And then in the middle, I've got this Elgato prompter. And for people who aren't familiar with it, it's basically just a little display, I think 9.1 inch display. And then that prompter glass that is a mirror so that I can see the display. And then I can't believe I didn't put my camera on there. It's because I really don't. I'm not a camera guy at all.
I'm jealous of the teleprompter. I just, have my iPhone sitting on a mount on top of my screen, and I just put everything on the top of the mount monitor. So I'm just as close as I can be. And I make the window small so that my eye line is kind of close,
nice,
but it's not quite.
Oh, that's funny. I would not have noticed. I thought that maybe you were rocking something like that. Now, this is the Sony Alpha ZVE 10 Mark II. Again, I don't know. I don't really care that much, but this is the camera that our technical director said for me to get. And because we used to work obviously in person, we had a studio in California, and then the pandemic happened. We went remote and all had to figure out how to set stuff up on our own. For a while, I was using an iPhone camera with Re-Incubate's camo, and I mean, it was a great camera, obviously, and that system worked fine. But then you need to kind of lock it in, and so when I moved to Portland, I sort of reset up my studio this way. Along with that hardware, I do have a Stream Deck that I use to kind of switch scenes as I need to. That sits on my desk. And then I actually use Elgato's lighting as well. I have two key lights to the left and the right of me. And then actually right in front of me, I have this little Elgato Neo. And that's for when I've decided that I'm having a bad hair day and I wear a hat. This keeps the shadow from being too bad here. And then up here behind me, I've got a key light Air, and that's just kind of a nice hair light. Again, you can kind of see it glinting off of here. I don't lighting, not big on that either, but the technical director says you should get this, you should get that, and that's what I do.
My lighting is a window that sits right in front of me. Yep.
Wow. Well, it looks good. I didn't know what you were working with there. I thought maybe you had something, but yeah, that looks great.
Oh, I mean, the problem is that like if you fast forward through the video, you see it change constantly, up and down and up and down. Not really noticeable if you do it in real time, but if I'm making videos and I have to do a jump cut, like I have to look for a moment where the lighting is somewhat consistent.
Oh, wow.
Which is unfortunate. I have an idea that I want to get like the sound foam boards and then like build like a block that perfectly fits in that window so that I can both block sound and also completely darken the room and then get super bright lamps or something. But
that's a good idea because I'm in a basement and there is a window. They basically like dug out next to the house a space and then did all the stuff so that it drains properly or whatever. I don't really know about that, but light does come through there. But I have 2 levels of curtains, so it's completely blacked out for the sake of being able to control the light. But when I first moved here, I didn't have that set up yet, and it quickly became a problem, and so I was able to fix that. And then I've got a bunch of different, there's all sorts of lighting here that you can kind of see that just adds color. This is actually a custom painted this background here. So this used to just be, landlord tan, and and it's a base coat of like a dark gray color, and then one of the engineers at Twit walked me through the process. So you get a base color in like a flat, and then you get 2 similar colors, one lighter, one darker, in satin finish. And you sort of brush those over the top, and it helps to cause, you can kind of see how the light reflects off of the different areas differently. And so that's what's back there. But this is a Heil PR40. I just recently got it back from being anodized in green. Ooh. So this was the standard metal, and green's my favorite color. So I was like, I want it custom. So I was very excited. And then my interface is a Sound Devices Mix Pre 3 Mark II. I used to use an Elgato interface, and it was fine. But Work had purchased this Mix Pre 3 Mark II, and they're not cheap. And they also have a really good, there's a plugin that's a noise assist plugin. And so it's like as close to the bare metal as possible noise reduction. That is hard to clock. It sounds really good. And the plugin ended up going on sale. And so I was like, I got to get that plugin. I'm going to dig out my Mix Pre 3, and I'm very happy with it now. I also, the one thing that annoyed me about it, it has this little, because it's really meant to be kind of like attached to a camera and used out in the field first, primarily. But it can be a desk setup. But the little switch, because you don't want to accidentally brush up against it if you have it out in the field, is nearly flush. And so I find that it's best if you turn it off when you're done and turn it back on whenever you're ready to podcast. Unlike other interfaces I've had where they don't seem to care. So point is, very hard to switch off and on. So I got out my calipers and I made a little 3D switch, custom switch that I 3D printed and attached to it. So it's basically like an L shape, but on the part of the L that sticks into where the switch is, it's got a little divot. And I took some super glue, stuck it on the end of the switch, popped that in there, and now I can just easily grab the side of it and switch it back and forth. So that was kind of a fun little custom thing that I did.
I love that. I mean, I've just got a USB-C connected microphone, which is very simple. But you know what? And I don't sound like another regular co-host on here who's on vacation in Italy, Lewis. He has like an audio mixer, whatever. And you know, on one hand, he does sound much better than the other two of us, but on the other hand, he's like fighting with it every single week because GarageBand like changes his settings every single week. So he has to figure out how he went in there. Like, do you deal with that a lot? The software problems?
Well, I will say this, that I don't deal with, thank goodness. What I do deal with is it's the difference of, so when I'm doing a show, when I'm doing Clockwise, this is 4 people who are all coming over Zoom, who all have, you know, wildly different setups. And so as long as we can hear each other and we can hear each other and we can hear ourselves or whatever and everything, then it's fine. But with Twitch shows, it is a little bit more, you know, we've got to dial that in perfectly for the live show. So I do find myself making adjustments to gain, primarily because we're very careful about making sure that the audio that I am putting out matches the audio of the guest or guests. Whereas with Clockwise, if the audio is a little off for the live stream, it's fine. It can be edited in post to make it better. So yeah, I don't have to do too much. That was a thing that I did have to do with the Elgato interface. That's another reason why I switched away from it, is I found myself constantly fighting with the software. And also, if you had the interface on its own and you didn't have the software running, it behaved a little differently. And I don't like that. That's the thing that I don't like. That means that some, like, even if there's like processing or something happening in there, and I want you to take the audio that I'm giving you and let me be in charge of how it gets messed with. And it just didn't feel like I was in enough control of what was going on. And so then when issues cropped up, I'm going, hold on, do I need to open up Audio MIDI Explorer, or do I need to or Audio MIDI Setup, is this something that I need to adjust in?
Anytime you need to
Elgato
open
software?
Audio MIDI Setup on the Mac, you're already in the thick of it.
Yeah, exactly. So that is part of the reason why I switched to the sound devices. It's plug and play once you get it going. And the most I ever have to do is just touch this one knob and make adjustments to it. And
please don't touch it right now.
Yeah, exactly. Leave it where it is, please. So yeah, that's that. And then for apps and stuff, I use Ecamm. It used to be called Ecamm Live. Recently, they changed its name to Ecamm. It is a purpose-built Mac application for live streaming, but also for just recording video. And that is primarily what I use it for my offline shows that I do, for my online shows that I do. I don't use it for Clockwise, but everything else, Ecamm is involved. I've got to show things that are on my screen a lot, that are like a phone. I've got to show what's happening on my phone or my iPad, and it's great at showing those. It's like OBS, but not open source. It is a Mac designed application that is really well made. I should note they've sponsored different shows of mine before, but that's only because I said you should come and sponsor my shows because you're great and I love you. And I think the stuff that you make is awesome. So that's it. I liked them before they sponsored me. I think it's a great app. Every year for the past few years now, I run a D&D campaign to raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And that is a whole thing with lots of different guests and showing a map on screen and Ecamm is how I've built all of that out. And so it made that a lot simpler. At Twit, we also use Restream as a tool for the Restream's kind of interesting because it started out as just give us your feed and we will stream it out to multiple platforms. But over time, it's become like a full studio. And so it has switching options. You can switch between different scenes on it and show your web pages. It's got all that stuff now. And so we use that at work for certain shows that require it. But we actually also use Ecamm at work. The technical director on the other end of the call has an Ecamm set up and is bringing all of those different views in and stuff to rock that. Zoom is primarily the means of communication that I use. That's for Clockwise. That's for any of the Twitch shows that I do where Restream is not being used. It's via Zoom. Audio Hijack is my tool for recording audio locally. It's running right now. It is the tool that captures the Clockwise podcast every week, captures what's coming from the Zoom, what's coming from my microphone, what's coming from both. And then, that can be used for those purposes. And then on the rare occasion that I have to edit a podcast, that would be Clockwise would be the only one where that's the case. I use Adobe Audition. And that's just the tool that I learned originally. And so it's the one that I've used going forward as my audio editing
Have you
tool.
considered switching that up or trying to learn something new with how Adobe is being Adobe?
I don't have the feelings that some people have about Adobe.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I've been maybe it's because I originally went to school for graphic design. I don't know. And now I'm not in it. And so whatever it is, for some reason, I'm not as angry at Adobe as a lot of people are.
Mm-hmm.
So I happily pay my Adobe subscription. And I use Photoshop all the time for other things. I use Premiere occasionally. I know that suite really well. And so I haven't thought about changing it up, but I have used other tools. I just don't have the time to invest in them to learn them well enough. So I've tried Logic. I just was kind of lost, to be honest, with some of the stuff. And it's like, if I don't have the time and I know this tool so well, might as well keep using what I know. And I'm just happy with
what everybody says
there.
is true. Logic is absolutely not designed for podcasters.
There's also, what is the other one that people do really like? Is it Ferrite? Is that the one?
Yeah.
It's got an iPad app, I think, as well.
Yeah.
That one seems more standard and, easy to use. But again, it's like, even if it's a difference of not knowing what the keyboard shortcuts are because they're different, I'm just going to go back to Audition.
Mm-hmm.
I can get it. Because that's the other thing. If I'm editing a podcast, it's because something is off, like our editor is unavailable or whatever. And so it puts a wrench in my schedule. So I just need to get it done quickly. So I just haven't needed to switch. And then we were talking a little bit about storage and how what we do can be kind of a storage sink. I use the tool Hazel to do automatic audio archiving. So I've got my server, my network attached storage connected, and Hazel has some different searches that it looks for to find old audio hijack files and automatically moves them over to my network attached storage. It's funny because sometimes the login item that connects to the drive on my network attached storage doesn't run or something happens. And so then Hazel, it's always whenever I'm on Wednesdays when Clockwise is about to start, boop, boop, boop. I get all these notifications saying failed to move. And I'm going, yeah, I know. And so I have to then go in, find her, Command K, connect to the server. We're good to go. I use Text Expander for a lot of things, but in particular for naming files. Jason Snell, a long time ago, gave me this Text Expander shortcut that he used to basically it goes and it checks the RSS feed for a podcast and then finds the number of the file, of the audio file, and then increments it by 1. And so the idea is that when I'm naming a folder for where my clockwise files will go, I hit ;C name. And what that does is looks at the thing, sees the published episode, so it knows that what I'm doing is the one after that, and then it changes the name to clockwise 692 or whatever. And I have that set up for all of my shows, so they all go and check the feed, increment by 1, and name the file. And it's actually quick. You might think that it would take a minute, but no, very, very quick. And then I also just use Keyboard Maestro for other sorts of small macros. I'm pretty good at AP style titles, but when I have a little bit of doubt about them, I've got a little AP style macro that runs. It goes to an API, and figures out what that needs to be, changes the proper title case. I just set up a couple that when I'm inviting people onto my show Tech News Weekly, because that's primarily an interview show, they always want a calendar invite, which is totally fine, but it's kind of annoying to go into a calendar app and make a calendar invite and then make sure that somehow it's getting to them, because sometimes if you put the email in, it's actually sending an invite. Sometimes if you do it wrong, it's very confusing. So I, with the help of Claude, sort of reverse engineered, although it's not really, it's published, but I didn't know what was in an ICS file. Reverse engineered the ICS file and then create a little macro that will ask me, like, what's the date that you're asking for? And then it pops out an ICS file that I can just put into an email and send it off. Then I don't have to be involved in that ICS file. It's just theirs to do with what they want, but they've got it in their calendar. And then I've also set one up for time changes, because I am regularly asking people to be on a show, or someone's asking me to be on a show, and I can highlight the text like we were talking about earlier and hit that button, and then it says, what do you want to change? What time code do you want to change this zone? Do you want to change this to? So those are the different kind of workflows and setups that I have for my regular podcasting that I do. Any questions about my setup? I think I covered everything there.
Yeah, I mean, what are some of the things you've got behind you? I see like a big light up S on that for Sargent, presumably.
So definitely that's for Sargent. Next to it, this is kind of cool. It was
I don't know why
GIF.
I thought that room was much bigger. When you like just reach back and picked it up.
Did I? That's funny. The aspect. Yeah. So it can be kind of hard to see, but these are my 2 dogs, and it's basically like this etched glass thing that my aunt gave me, and it's both of them, but it sits on this little LED light, and then it lights up from underneath, and it looks really cool. I've got a bunch of the stuff that I've made in Crafting Corner back here as well. So up here is a little. It's like a coffee shop that's in miniature. Ooh. And then over on this shelf, it's really hard to see because it's dark, but I actually want to get even more lights to kind of spotlight these areas and make them light up a little bit more. But I did Lego succulents as a couple of episodes of Crafting Corner, so those are all over there. Fake plant in the corner, fake bonsai, that's a Lego bonsai up there. So yeah, just a bunch of different stuff and 3D printed stuff as well. I like to keep there. Most of the lights are Govee. Really love Govee. And especially now that Govee supports Matter in so many ways, I'm able to control all of that. The stuff that isn't controllable via Matter, I just use Homebridge to make use, or to control those.
So do you have automations like where you can just like run a shortcut from your Mac and set all of the lights in the setup behind you?
Yeah, so I have, this is a Philips Hue dimmer, and I have it set up for specifically controlling all of this. So I am able to turn off all of the lights in the room with just one press of the button, and then I can turn on all of the lights with one press of a button. And then the middle 2 buttons are, I forgot that this turns it up to 100%, so that's an adjustment I need to make. But the middle 2 buttons are for, in this window, I have plants, and they get sunlight during the day, but again, it's down. And so I actually have some like full spectrum LEDs in there that keep light on them during the day. And I've got an automation that's set up so that at sunset every day they turn off, and at sun but occasionally if I have that window open or something, then I can easily turn those off as I need to. I will tell you, these Elgato key lights are only addressable over the like server, or not server connection, but local area network connection. And there have been times that the connection gets lost, and that has been the most annoying part of the setup. I think I just finally fixed it because it was an IPv4 versus IPv6 thing.
Okay.
And that ended up being a whole deal where I was like looking at packets that were being sent from the Control Center app on my Mac to the lights to try to decode how they were being sent, what was going on. And it ended up that it was addressing them over IPv4, but some of the lights had lost their IPv4 because the default for them is to use IPv6 if it's available, and there's no way to tell them to do IPv4 instead. It was a nightmare, but once I had assigned all of them IPv4 addresses that they could hold on to in the router, I power cycled them, got them reconnected, and now, in theory, that this will continue to work. So
try explaining that problem to Thomas Edison.
Can you imagine? Oh my God, that would be really funny. Yeah, but I'm really happy with how things are now. It's taken a while to. There used to not be a shelf here. It used to just be that background, and it looked fine, but it wasn't. I don't know, wasn't as interesting as it is now, I think. And yeah, the 3D printer and stuff in the shot. I used to not have it in the shot, but I thought, oh, it adds something. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I use streaming wise, but that's really it. Other than I use it's a piece of software that basically makes your devices available on the network as like cameras. And so I have that running on my MacBook Air, so that when I'm trying to show stuff from my MacBook Air, I can, address that in Ecamm. I wish I could remember what that stuff is called. NDI. It's the NDI suite. And so I think it's ndi.tools is the website, but essentially, ndi.video. That's what it is. It lets me kind of telestrate what's, it's like screen share from my Mac, but it's nice because the Mac that I'm using, this Studio, I don't have to give up a whole screen in order to show something on my Mac. I can use that complete separate Mac for it. So yeah, I used to have a HDMI centered system going with a switcher, like a sort of classic switcher, but a lot of the virtualization stuff ends up working quite well. I am using, again, an Elgato camera capture for getting the Sony into the view. But outside of that, yeah, it's mostly software. Just it works well these days. Where before you'd get the lag, don't really have that. So yeah.
And, the Macs are so powerful that they can handle all of these things no problem.
Exactly.
You don't need to build a
it's
custom machine.
Running so much.
Yeah. I hope some of our listeners got something out of that. If we have any creators and listening in the audience, I know it makes me feel inadequate about my setup here.
Oh, no. Well, I think you're doing well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I think that's a wrap. You can find Mikah Sargent, as we mentioned, at twit.tv. Is that the URL, right?
Yeah, you can go to twit.tv, or if you're just looking for all of my stuff, I didn't include this in the show notes, so I apologize. It's chihuahua.coffee, chihuahua.coffee. That's got links to all the places I'm most active online.
Yep, and Clockwise, and you're on the Incomparable network of podcasts occasionally. Please give us a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts, or share it with someone who you might think would like to listen. Text us on iMessage at cultofmacpodcast@icloud.com to send in questions, comments, and feedback for the show. Ask Lewis what he's, let's figure out what he's up to. His escapades in Italy. Get questions about that. We'll accumulate those for when he comes back. or whatever it is Leonard's up to. I legitimately do not know. You can send an audio message or a short video for us to play too. Thank you all for listening, for watching, and we will see you all next time. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.